Hi guys, we'll just start in 5 minutes. Let's just wait for some of us to join. Thank you. see my shares. Hi everyone, thanks for joining us on this first webinar organized by Startup Leadership Bangalore chapter. So this webinar will be conducted by Madhu Akula, who is an internationally acclaimed security engineer. So Startup Leadership Program is a global mentoring and training session for startup founders spread across 26 different cities across the world. And we have a network of more than 2,000 fellows across the world. So currently our applications are open for the next batch across the world. So you can check out the chapters which are there in the world and you can apply if you want. So batches will be starting in September. So you can just go on to F6S and select your chapter and apply there. Now I'll just hand over to Madhu and I'll just start the session on DevOps for startups. Thank you.
Hello. Can you guys hear me now? Good. Me, I work at AppSeco as an automation ninja, where I will be mostly doing security, DevOps, and cloud-related things, and setting up a bunch of things. And I have been speaker and trainer at bunch of conferences, which are like DevCon, DevSecCon, All Day DevOps, and DevOps Days, and multiple other. And pastly, I used to use like a lot of security research and found multiple vulnerabilities in Google, Microsoft, Yahoo, and bunch of other companies. And I keep learning new things and to share like with community and other stuff. And you can follow me at tweet to me if you have any questions or to like a follow up bunch of things at Madhu Akula. So let's get started. So before moving on, so I just wanted to give a brief disclaimer. This talk is like a completely my view of DevOps and understanding, and it might change from the different perspective from different people and organizations. And let's get started. So before moving on, I just wanted to give like a very brief introduction. What is DevOps? Because we keep talking about DevOps is a very high level buzzword in the market, and especially in the IT. So people has completely different definitions for their own ways. The main thing is like DevOps is like implementing a culture of sharing, especially between the development and operations teams, like making sure that they both are interacting each other and sharing the things so that it will get faster and improved like capabilities. So I personally follow camps by Damon Edwards. Camps like tell us that culture is one of the main thing to like DevOps will enhance between among different teams. We will do cross team collaborations to improve the culture of the company and build proper toolkit and work together. And second thing is automation, where automation is booming heavily in the market now to from building up your own infrastructure to deploying applications. And in the future slides, we will see how we can use different kind of automation tools to deploy and provision infrastructure for your own organization as well as bunch of stuff. And measurement is another key part, because when you keep deploying and building new things, if you don't know till what up to you, we cannot even identify what are the next step and what is our goal. So in DevOps principles, they say that keep measure with the samples so that you will get identify. And sharing is one of the another good part. Once you learn some of the things, you will share with the other teams, and you will keep improve and by using feedback loops. I think it's pretty much. And coming to lean startup principles, it is almost as similarly matches with the DevOps principles. Here it will be like build, measure, and learn. And as we see in the previous slide, we keep building new code and integrating new test cases and deploying into the cloud and finding open source alternatives. And whatever the things we build, and we keep measuring using testing and analysis, statistics, and by real time, whatever the monitoring and analytics, and learn whatever the outcomes which will come from the measurement and the build. We'll keep as a feedback loop, and we will integrate again into ideas, and we'll try to build. This loop will continue to until the product get to the customer hands. So we will look at some of the problems, why there are so many issues with traditional stuff, and why DevOps becoming more powerful and booming into the market of IT. The main thing is there is very insufficient time with the organizations and the startup people, because they have very limited amount of time to produce their own product to the outside market. And that will be one of the key thing missing. And another one is unstable and unpredictable infrastructure. Okay, and that will be very difficult to build infrastructure, because once we build the entire infrastructure, it is very difficult to predict. It will be keep up and running always, because we cannot keep waiting for the availability, because that is one of the main thing to look at. And the third thing is lack of documentation, because we, especially in DevOps and startup worlds, they try to build products as much as faster, because they have to deliver the stuff, and they'll miss out bunch of documenting the whatever the things they have done, so which will make some kind of loss when you build the product. And make sure the updated inventory available in the market, whatever the hardware and software in the company are assets, that will be one of the traditional stuff problems. So we will see some of the ways to how we can automate and achieve this kind of functionality using DevOps ways. So why DevOps before moving on? So this points I have taken from the Puppet survey of DevOps state 2017. So they said that high performing IT organization deploy more frequently and fail less, because when you come to the take organization like Etsy and Netflix and Facebook and a bunch of companies, they deploy per day more than 5 times into the production compared to other organizations. And they also fail less, because they try to fail as early as possible rather than going into production. Once you production, rather than failing, they'll battle test the applications before going into the production. And another thing is automation is huge boon into the organization. This is one of the key element which making more powerful in the DevOps world. And another thing is loosely coupled architectures and teams are the strongest predictor of continuous delivery, because especially when you work with micro-segmented teams, the same team is applicable for deployment and as well as operations and development. So that will be get faster, because they have all the knowledge of maintaining applications as well as developing. So it will make little faster. And lean product management drives higher organizational performance, because that is what we are going to discuss throughout the presentation. So here are some of the statistics we have taken from the Puppet as well. And the most of the organizations, if you look technology and financial, there are huge amount of organizations moving towards DevOps adoption, especially this is 2017, and this is where the trend goes. And here, if you look at the departments, most of the departments from IT operations to till sales and marketing, each and everyone will try to use these kind of principles to make it more effective and faster. If you look at like here stats, it increased from 16% to 19, 19 to 22, and now it's 27%. So this will keep going on. And here are the some of the changes in performance, like from keep increasing in the moment. One is the deployment frequency. The more it is like 40x% of like more faster deployments happening in the world because of the DevOps movement, and using some kind of principles, and lead time changes is more faster than the previously, and similarly mean time to recover if something goes wrong, it is like faster than the previous years and traditional things. And failure rate become very less because they try to failure as early as possible to make sure the stuff works in the production. So here we will look at the very high level overview of how the different from traditional to DevOps. If you look at the batch, traditional ways, they try to get the products at a very large chunk of the rate, like big sizes of amounts, and deployments will try to push it at a single time. If you compare with DevOps, they try to put it like micro-segmented way. They try to push some code and they'll test and they'll see if is there any something goes wrong, and they'll fix and they'll push another code. So similarly, the organizations are becoming skill-centric silos in traditional organization. So if there is an ops team, so there will be an ops team only always. And if the ops team will be like keep building their own like teams of informations. And if you're coming into the DevOps world, there are dedicated cells, like the single team will be the cross-functional for development as well as operations and security. And similarly, centralized management if you go to traditional, and here it will be like make it into like a dedicated teams, and like they'll try to delegate the bunch of tasks and we will keep continuous. And we will see like bunch of these references in the later slides. And here is the another look at like startup curve from the Paul Grams. So when they started initially becoming like build some product and get funded bunch of space, so they have huge amount of enthusiasm. Like when it comes to the reality, the product, like they'll set all the goals and they'll try to get comfortable at the certain stage, and they have to keep go through the bunch of experiments, and they try to build their own experiments and whether it works or not till it comes to the working stage. Once it will come, they have to scale the product until it reach and based on the customers and all these things. So this tells that like how it looks like when you like end-to-end things will work. So one of the key thing is cloud. Cloud has become one of the more like a prominent thing to build like different kind of products and services, because cloud computing and its services will help to save immense amount of time and money with additional facilities. The biggest thing is with the cost. So if you wanted to build like as a traditional, you have to go for Apex, CapEx, and you have to provision inventory. I need these many of servers. But when you're coming into the cloud, you don't even need to pay upfront. You just pay what you use. Like if you are using a VM for 1 hour, you just charge for 1 hour. And similarly, bunch of other services will be provided. And as when you use, you will just pay. And similarly, you will get access to multiple services. The one thing is infrastructure as a service, so you don't even need to maintain bunch of servers in your hardware or like in your data centers. So that will be taken care by some of the cloud providers. So they'll provide their entire infrastructure as a service for you. And as similarly, there are platform as a service. Like if you look at like Heroku, this is one of the example for platform as a service. And there are huge amount of software as a services like RDS, S3, and there are huge amount of services which will just give you the API endpoints, and you'll just make a request using your key, and you will get the service ready up and running in like matter of seconds. And the key part of cloud is enabling is scalability. So as you are startup now, you wanted to build like only for limited amount of customers, like you have only 100 customers, and you don't want any huge investments like building a huge amount of servers. And suddenly you got like acquired by some company and you wanted to scale up like some 1 lakh users or 100K users. And then you will be like try to just increase the amount of VMs or like capacity in your cloud. rather than building your own infrastructure and managing huge amount of servers. And the cool part is like a mobility. Wherever you go, you can able to access your entire infrastructure and company organizational stuff using a cloud service account or like some key management solutions. So I think it's more like I just covered like how traditional infrastructure and how we are moving towards DevOps. So this is the DevOps life cycle looks like from end to end. From once you plan the infrastructure and a product and everything, you code that everything, and you try to build the environment and applications, and you test it for the different kind of test cases, and you will release the product, and you will get the customer feedback. And once you deploy, you will keep operate that by have availability, resilience, and bunch of other ways. And we will look at how we make sure the monitoring will happen from the end to end phase. So this is how the DevOps lifecycle looks like. We will see each phase like one by one in the coming slides and the presentations. So do you have any doubts till now? Like put it in your chat box or QA section. We will come back at the end of the presentation to look at like if you have any like questions and other things we'll discuss. So moving on, the one thing is mainly coming into the picture is Agile methodologies. The one thing is the huge amount of waterfall and Agile versus stuff happening. So if you take waterfall model, there you have to keep define and build, release. Once everything has happened and the product is ready to go, then you will try to deploy. And if you come to the Agile methodology, it will make it as a sprint. So you will plan sprint for some 15 days or 30 days, and you will get done by some kind of code or work which is working, and you will release that and get the feedback from that outcome, and again do whatever the outcomes feedbacks and code it again and do build and release again. And again, this will be a continuous loop of sprints. So it will make that it will make sure it will reach customers as early as possible. Coming to the waterfall model, it will give the more feedback rather than waterfall model, and will be able to produce better quality of products as early as possible. So this is like one of the with waterfall development, frozen business plans, and silos between teams. Getting an idea delivered to customer took months or even years, because you have to deploy or get the product ready once everything is done. So this is one of the slide stats I taken from the Gantt Pro. So when you use Agile, they try to very less failure rate, because they wanted to fail as early as possible, as we discussed DevOps principle. And there are some other 42% of successful rate, and 49% are challenged, which you wanted to use improvement coming to the waterfall model. So we look at some of the startup anatomy. So this is one of the key thing will happen for every startup. In the early days, whoever the founder or the team, like a small bunch of people, will be the developers. They are the operation staff. They are the security people, and they have to manage each and every part of the DevOps lifecycle or product management. So for them, it is time is very critical asset, because that they have to get the product as early as possible, and they have to focus on the product. So that is where the cloud come into the picture, because by improvement of cloud and modern tools, it gives huge amount of time and possibilities to go over and use as like a bunch of services, rather than building their own products or projects. And they keep using services, and they'll try to focus on their product, and they keep moving on. And here I come up with some of the bunch of list of modern operations, and by integrating into the DevOps lifecycle. And here we will see some of the use cases and how you can integrate these things into your business as well as a life cycle. So the main thing for the entire thing start with version control. The power of version control gives moving traditional IT operations to modern DevOps shops, because each and everything, whatever you do, will be version control. So if something goes wrong, you can revert back or changes, and the auditability, who made the change, who it will give you the identity of the change. So here are some of the things. Management of things is super easy and efficient when you use version control. And some of the tools softwares like GitHub, Bitbucket, which will give you private repositories, and GitLab, like which will give you like complete builds and like CI/CD kind of things, also private and free, which is very good for startups to use. And if you wanted to build your own in-house stuff, like there is an alternative thing in Go called Gogs. So some of the things which can be done version control is mainly documentation. As we discussed, this is one of the key part when you are building your own product or something, and you can build your own presentations. This entire slide is like version controlled, so you can see how powerful it is. And you can like version control whatever the configurations, like you have to build your entire stack. So nowadays the entire infrastructure is codified, so you can, your entire configuration will be version controlled, and you can make it up and running in matter of seconds. And your playbooks, scripts, code snippets, and bunch of things. So this is one of the key thing to start, and the initial thing when you wanted to go ahead and kickstart. And the second thing is documentation. So documentation is the solution for multiple problems, because it will solve so many huge amount of issues, so that you can like focus on the product and whatever the stuff which you wanted to deliver. So the main, I prefer personally Markdown because which can be read by human as well as machines. It is super simple and very powerful format. And once you build documentation, like you can build knowledge bases out of that using tools like Gitbooks and Reneto and MKDocs. So you have huge amount of knowledge. Once someone joins in your team, you wanted to know like what happened, what is the structure and everything, you can just share your like a knowledge basis. And generating presentations, so you once you like wrote some kind of code or something, you just wanted to give it to demo to someone, you can just use this documentation, and which will like give solutions to whatever the problems which you have, and to give a playbook kind of thing for your end users or who are the people. So they'll go through the playbook and they'll try to identify what is like what and how to use the product. And there are many other use cases as well. So another thing we wanted to discuss is configuration management. So now infrastructure as a code, it is one of the popular stuff which is happening. The aims is to take the focus and confusion like on error prone, because humans are like error prone, because we cannot predict every time it will be the same. It might change, and depends on our mood, like we will work that much efficient. So now infrastructure, everything will be codified. So once you have like to set up a 1 VM and to set up MySQL server, so everything you can write it in a code which can be predefined in a YAML format or some structured way. So entire this code will be again version control, so that you have the auditability, and you can version control like version control code can be integrated into your CI/CD pipelines, where they will do testing and code reviews, and it will be a single place or centralized way of looking into things. And the one key thing is you can also manage your inventory using configuration management tools. Like they'll collect all kind of facts from the different servers and hosts which you manage, and you will have a centralized database to look at the inventory. And some of the tools to mention, one of the popular things is Terraform, Ansible, and Puppet. These tools will help you to set up the infrastructure in matter of seconds, and if something goes wrong, you can set up the entire stack again, like back in like within seconds and minutes. So to know more about, or like if you wanted to like understand more about how infrastructure as a code works, this is like a really good reference to get started with, and this might help you. If you look at very high level and basic simple example, so this code is written in Ansible, which is one configuration management tool. And here we are going to install a Nginx service, and we'll start that service using this code. So here, whatever the web server, it will go log in as this Madhu user, and it will become a sudo in that operating system. And this is defining, saying that go and install Nginx package present, means before doing that update your repositories. And once it is installed, you'll go on and like start the Nginx service. So we are predefining the state of the application and service, so that it will be codified and version controlled. See how simple it is to set up your own Nginx or like whatever the stack using a playbook or some kind of setup code. So the another cool thing and key part is like monitoring and alerting. The key to making informed decisions. If something goes wrong, troubleshooting is one of the main thing. You have to have monitoring in the place. So some of the common things to look is one is host level monitoring and alerting, looking for your services is up and running or not, and availability, and looking at file integrity checks. If there is suppose some critical data is available in your server, if someone is changed or modified, you can have this kind of monitoring checks. Similarly, for security events, you can keep monitoring for different kind of logs, events, and other security data, so that if some attacks happening, you can easily understand what is happening in your environment by alerting into the your alerting system. And monitoring will give you a awareness, like what is happening, and if something goes wrong, easy to quick like troubleshoot and recover easily. And some of the tools like which helps to do these kind of things is like Nagios and Isinga. These are like host level monitoring. Elk Stack, which is one of the popular cluster stuff, and Prometheus, which is recently moved to CNCF Cloud Native Foundation. So these helps to build your like security monitoring or centralized monitoring stacks, and to build like your own application monitoring like New Relic, Datadog, and there are huge amount of tools which is available in the market. And to get started and to know more about like how monitoring and which tools works, you can look at the art of monitoring. This is a really good reference. And coming to the next one, which is project management and planning. So which is especially with startups, you have huge amount of tasks and like a different kind of work load. It is very difficult to know what next to work. So bringing into like actionable items, which will be very helpful to like fast forward and easily move on. And especially it is easy to assign and collaborate with teams. Like you can assign this task to operation, like one team of person who will work on development, and you can also easily estimate this task will take this much amount of time, so I can like done with by next day or sometime. And you can also share like these kind of things, and you can also use these kind of project management tasks as a template when you grow when you go big or some like a huge amount of team when you build. And some of the tools which will be helpful is like Trello, which is free version also available, and Jira and Asana. These are the some of the things will help you to like organize these project management tasks. And another thing is secret storage and sharing, because you all deal with infrastructure and cloud, because it's all in the internet. So managing secrets and keys should be your primary goal when you build like these kind of things. And not just for in your infrastructure, like when you register your website domain or support sites or GitHub, or some if you buy some purchase some kind of devices and laptops, and these all can be need to be stored safely and securely. So a password these all database is very useful, especially when you like deal with like different kind of credentials and applications. Some of the tools like Vault, which will help you to make sure the secrets of your applications will store in some centralized place, which is known and used by multiple enterprises and companies. And LastPass keepers, and this will help you to store your keys and like passwords in your local as well as the cloud and different ways. And once you build everything and it is up and running, it goes everything well. So if something goes wrong and you got like suddenly something went wrong and it got down or the data got corrupted, so backups is really important. And once you build the backups, so which will help you to like someday when you have some trouble or something, so this will make sure you have each and everything whatever you are doing will be stored in some centralized place, so it will save you someday. So some of the ways like people does is snapshot, incremental, whatever the updated stuff, or differential, making sure you have full backups for the some monthly full backups or something. This is like you can define your own policies. And especially when you're backing up a huge amount of data and which is confidential or critical amount data, you have to make sure it is secure and stored securely. Some of the like tools which will be helpful is options like services will be there is S3, and Dropbox or Doobly is an open source version, and Minio is like kind of S3 alternative for open source. So this is where to like store and backup whatever the data which you have. And moving on, so continuous integration. So when you go to the and think about like DevOps, people keep talking about like continuous delivery, continuous integration, pipelines, and all these things. So continuous integration is a software development practice where members of team integrate their work frequently. Like as I discussed in the earlier, people does deployments 4 to 5 times a day. This is because of continuous integration, and which will leading multiple integrations day. Like you can integrate your webhooks, Slack, chatbots, and your containers, your VMs, whatever, whatnot. So this will help you to do your testing in the automated way, and it will save you like a lot of amount of time in testing, and make sure code reviews will happen, and send it to the servers as quickly as possible. And continuous delivery is the ability to get change of all types, including like features, configuration changes, bug fixes. If you are trying out something, and if you wanted to push something, these all changes throughout the your SDLC lifecycle, DevOps lifecycle, from like whatever the code you do to till reaching to the production, which will make sure it will be safer and planned, and in sustainable way it will reach out to the end-to-end users. So these are the ways like you can look at, like one is connect your builds and webhooks to CI/CD pipeline. Like you might use version control system. Like you might wanted, once you push the code, you might wanted to trigger some kind of webhook which will go and check for the code reviews. You might wanted to run your test cases, and these are some of the things you might wanted to integrate. And everything is passed. Now you might wanted to push this code to your production or staging environments. And some of the tools like Jenkins, Travis, like there are huge amount of tools which will be available to do these heavy lifting jobs for you when you wanted to deal with CI/CD. So here is one of the cool site I found, like 10factor.ca. They try to define 10 stages of continuous integration and delivery, like making sure your code base is there, like one code base like track, version control, and you can deploy into many deploys like staging, QA, dev, test, and dependencies are captured in the CI/CD. Configuration management you can do, and backing up services, building like build management tool like Maven, Gantt, Gulp, and release tools, and you can run some kind of scripts if you wanted to do, and you can build your own processes in the CI/CD lifecycle, and you can also capture the logs, who audited and what happened. So these are some of the things you might wanted to look at when you are having CI/CD. So some of the references I gave in the end of this presentation, which might help you to to read up more about or like to know. So we have less time, so I'm keep moving on. The another thing is collaboration and communication. When we started with DevOps, we think about culture and sharing. This is key part. So building collaboration is key part of DevOps, and making cross-functional team awareness, because devs and ops knows what they are going to build and deploy. It is very simple to fix the problem and deploy as much as faster, and keeping people on call rotations so that they know what are the problems arising in the outside world or customers facing, so they can build a better products. And another thing is building chatbots and Slacks to communicate internally and outside externally as well. And another thing is gamification. When you build gamified way of deploying things, like it will build in, more productive teams as well as the people, and building internal team champions so that they'll promote awareness kind of internal ways, and attending community events and spreading the word, and listening to bunch of talks outside. So these are helps to build your knowledge as well as others. And another key thing is coming to all combining centralization, because you have huge amount of things to collect and manage when you build your own things, startups and products. So one is you have to make sure have centralized inventory and asset management, like software tracking, hardware and assets, URLs, domains, and everything. And making sure centralized monitoring and alerting is there. If something goes wrong, you can easily get notified. And storing the all data, like centralized repositories like GitHub, GitLab, private registries, artifact storage, and other these things. So we will look at modern some of the modern tools and technologies which will help you to little grow and more faster the key stuff which is happening in the trend is containers. So containers allow you to package and isolate your applications and runtime, which is like you can like spin up your entire environment in like seconds. So containers make sure you have, once you build a one container, it will run in your dev test prod wherever you go. It will be the same code and same thing will be executed. So the containers has been for a while, but Docker made like a very huge amount of popular for containers because of its simplicity and providing to the end users. So containers use same kernel resources as host operating system, but because of this, and it has its own naming spaces, and it will give huge amount of power to like a performance to the compared to VMs. So this is very high level example of you can like setting up your WordPress stack. Like you can have database service, and you have your WordPress service, and you have like you can just like spin up this your 2 containers in seconds, and your WordPress site is up and running in like a minute. So similarly, there are very good amount of resources like Kubernetes and Mesos. These kind of solutions will make simple to manage your entire container clusters. And you can read more about like they have a complete series of books in the new stack. And if you wanted to play with containers and other things, there is a really good reference called Katakoda, and they build playgrounds for you. And another thing is serverless, because the people think that you don't even need to manage servers or infrastructure. So serverless is known as like function as a service. So where you don't even need to manage your VMs, they'll just provide as a service, and whatever the service request you use, you'll just pay for that rather than paying for your virtual machines. So like compare like as cloud providers gone big, like all AWS, Google, Azure has their own services for serverless. Like AWS has Lambda, Google and Azure has functions. And if you are like interested in your own, like IBM has a private thing, open source stuff called OpenWhisk, and it is really easy to use frameworks on top of that, like serverless or Charlie's, which will give very easy to interact with the serverless functionalities. So this is really cool, right? AWS Lambda charges $0.20 per 1 million API requests. So you just need to use like whatever the services use, you'll just pay for that. And it is very easy to scale as well. If you are having huge amount of customers, that will automatically scale because you are not managing the infrastructure, right? So this is one of the cool thing to look at. And here are some of the references. If you wanted to go about like hiring some kind of ops person, your startup. And one is like he's able to comfortable with kiosks because he'll be working with different roles and different things. And he wanted to like take the responsibility to make sure the things will work and available for the customers. And here is the more like to know more about like hiring for the startups by Charity Measures. She has a really good video about all the stuff. So we will look at very high level demo where you will just use IDE like Sublime, and you will version control your entire code, and you have your CI/CD built in place, and your container will build based on your CI/CD, and your application is ready to work. So let's get started with the very high level basic. So here I have a very my Sublime IDE, like which is I'm writing a Docker file where it will go ahead and install curl command in a container, which is Alpine. So if you look at my repository, it is in the GitHub, it is same. And if you look at Docker Hub, which will go and produce CI/CD here, and it will build and create new container. So I'm going to add a new entry point here. So I'm just adding entry point, saying that curl, and by default command is help, and I am automatically adding here only, and I am automatically commenting added entry point, and I'm pushing changes to my version control system, and it will go ahead and push this code, whatever the code which I have written here, to the GitHub. It has done successfully. If you go ahead and refresh here in your GitHub, the code got updated, which is the entry point as well as the command which we just wrote in the Sublime. And if you go ahead and look at your Docker build, so the CI/CD is connected from version control system to the Docker Hub. Once you, whatever the code you push changes to the GitHub, it will automatically get updated in your CI/CD. If you go ahead and see the build details, the just build got triggered. You can see here a few seconds building. So if you open the build status, so you can see there is a point, there is a command, the build is started and triggered and it got pushed, the build is done. So you can see how simple it is to make connected, and you just made like some kind of changes and push the code to the your version control system, and it got built, and it created an application. So I'll just take this application to show you a simple demo. Like I copied and I'll pull this container. So now it will go ahead and fetch the container which which built in Docker Hub, and which will download into the local system. And especially you can also use post hooks. Once the build is done, it will go ahead and deploy to the somewhere else in the cloud, like your VMs, services, and other things. It's getting built, downloading. Having some issues with the internet. It's not able to pull the image. Yeah, got downloaded. So when you run this, you can see by default entry point we set it up as a help. So it will run the curl command with -help. You can see the curl help output. Similarly, you can also use these kind of things as applications. You can build your own applications to run in containers. So now I'm going to run and pass some other command like Bangalore. So it will give you a weather report for the Bangalore. So you can see. So this is how simple and easy to manage, and from like we have updated code in your IDE, and we push the changes to version control system, and version control system pick the code, and it had a webhook which will push to the Docker Hub using pipeline, and Docker container got built. We use the Docker container to run our applications. So this is how you can build your own pipeline and other things. So I have very little amount of time, so I wanted to give more references so that you can go back and read about those things. So here is one of the cool project by ZBA Labs. So where they have collected huge amount of tools like DevOps tools, where like open source version, and you can look at here what are the open source tools for build, database management, CI/CD deployments. So you can use this as a really good reference when you are choosing different tools. And another good reference is 12-factor app, which when you are building your own applications, like you can look at these kind of ways to maintainable software as a service applications. And this is another cool reference by Segment Stack. If you wanted to set up your entire infrastructure by a single click applications, they have built a Terraform script where you run your Terraform code. It will build entire infrastructure in your AWS environment. And these are some of the books I wanted to refer, like the Phoenix Project, which is really good help to understand how DevOps movement started and move ahead with things. And this is to know more about like how sysadmin works and other things. This is again by Visible Ops, how operations things works, and to know more about continuous operations and delivery. And DevOps handbooks again by the same guys who wrote by Phoenix Project. And Google SRE is one of the cool project, like how site reliability engineers works, and the lean startup, and there is a manager's path. So these are some of the other repositories and references which you can go back and look at, and which is really valuable amount of resources they have, like awesome sysadmin, DevOps, SRE. So they have collected huge amount of things like deployment automation, what are the tools available, distributed file systems. So these are really good references which you can go back and use. And some of the thing is, this is really useful if you are in AWS. So this is like open guide to AWS services. They have collected all the services and basic tips and what are the things. These all are good to go. And this is really cool reference if you are like CEO security checks list for SaaS based company. So if you are like build your own SaaS, you can say that like what are the things you can build, like if you are ensure your domain names are secured. So what are the references, and do not share Wi-Fi. What are the references? Like your employees require two-factor authentication. So this is really good amount of checklist which you can follow for the checklist. Similarly, there is another thing for DevOps, so where you can have DevOps checklist. So flow onboarding, offboarding checklist, and like go hack yourself, CI/CD protection. There is a huge amount of list. So I think this is pretty good, and I think I'm like almost done. So I just wanted to introduce, there is a cool reference called All Day DevOps, which is an online community responsible for creating DevOps conference all over the world. And if you wanted to know more about, they are running a conference in online, which is completely free, and which will run 24 hours all over the world with huge amount of participation the previous year. So you can register for that for understanding and learning more about DevOps and other things. And here are some of the references I use it to make this presentation and other stuff. And thank you so much for listening to me and having me. And you can like have any questions, you can tweet to me or follow me. And thank you so much.
Yes. Thanks, Madhu. Thanks a lot for joining us. Thanks, Madhu. Thanks, Madhu. Thanks for the wonderful session. And guys, if you have any questions, you can ask Madhu. He's still here with us. Any question? Kanishk, Murli, Pooja, Saket, Sivaneshwar. I guess you cleared everything, so people do not have any questions, Madhu. Okay, so Tamagna had asked one question, Madhu, in between the session. So if you can answer that. Okay.
Hello. So the question is, as a beginner, I wanted to practice basic DevOps CI/CD pipeline. Where can I get started? Is there any test ground, easy to understand tutorial? So there are a bunch of other references as I given in the previous slides. If you look at my slide share, I'll be sharing with you after the presentation. So the one key thing is to practice, especially DevOps and CI/CD, you have to like keep practicing in the different environments and tools and things. And the good start is reading about the the Phoenix project. And after that, to practice tools and things, you can use the online resources like GitLab. They provide CI/CD pipelines, and Travis CI, which also provides free CI/CD for your GitHub. And I also put in reference in my last slide called Awesome Sysadmin. There we have like a checklist of resources where you can practice the CI/CD different tools and which are freely available.
Thanks a lot, Madhu. I guess that is. So Murli has another question. Being a Oracle DBA, is DevOps helpful?
Okay. So here is another question. Being a Oracle DBA DevOps helpful? Yes, definitely, because DevOps is not about developers and operations, because DBS is kind of sysadmin. So where they wanted to build their own databases and make sure backup is available and it is automated, and now databases becoming service oriented. So I think learning DevOps and using these, understanding these tools, at least you can help your database to integrate with other services. Like someone develop a roads code, how you can integrate your database with them, or how you can deploy easily with operation teams. So it is all about culture and collaboration. So when you integrate with and learning with communicating with these teams, it will be definitely helpful.
Great. I think that is all for today. Great, Mal. Thanks everyone for joining us. And application for startup leadership program are open, so you can go to F6X and apply to your respective chapters. Thanks once again, and we'll be coming back with few more sessions like this with different related to different startup, different fields related to startups. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye.